SprintSlow fam.
Hi guys.
That was just a joke.
Oh.
That's too exaggerated.
You're very exaggerated at the beginning.
SprintSlow fam, in this video we're going to tell you our step-by-step process for how we moved our life from a house to move into a van.
So the first thing we did to kind of get started with all this was a checklist. The bigger steps that we knew that we would start crossing off our list and as we got closer. So the house, big one. Get it decluttered. Check. Put it on the market. Check. Then I knew I was going to be quitting my job a few weeks before we hit the road. Did that. Check. Gio has a gym that he knew he had to let the community know. He also had to set up his team of people to make sure that it would survive. So we did that sort of thing. Check. These are a few of the bigger notches that now 2 weeks before we head out that we've started to check off of our list.
Totally, and to expand on that just a tad, it's a little bit like anything you do in life. It is a huge leap. It is a big leap for us. We still look at each other sometimes and can't believe it's about to happen or we've made the steps to make it happen.
Yeah.
But you just have to continue to make the steps. Put the process in place, take one step, and keep moving forward. And then when we look back, we're like, whoa, look at all of the things that we've done in preparation for this. And it leads to this final piece.
We were trying to figure out what we needed to do to get ready for van life. We actually decided to sell our house. It was not something we planned to do initially. We were going to try to keep it and rent it. But there was a couple factors that made us decide to sell. One, the leading factor was probably the housing market is so good right now where we are. So we just thought we could get what we needed out of the house, and that would save us kind of some turmoil and some stress with finding a renter. So we put the house up for sale.
It sold very quickly, in a weekend. So we were out. Luckily, we have amazing in-laws, so they let us move into their house for a little bit while they hit the road because their hashtag van life was also.
Yeah, so they're actually in Colorado out west right now, just kind of waiting for us. And then we're going to head out and meet them in T-minus 17 days.
So the sale of the house was emotional for us. I will miss this house. I will miss these memories that were made in here.
It's a perfect house.
So it was challenging. It was where, the only house our son has lived in. It's where our daughter grew up. It was right across the street from a park. And moving is hard. So we were downsizing from a small house to a smaller house of my in-laws, which also had all their stuff in it. So it ended up being like a nice transition. But we did have to get a storage unit.
Yeah, so we found a 5x10 storage unit. We kept things that we could picture having in the next house that we have whenever we come back. Kitchen things, some seasonal things, I don't really know, some memorabilia stuff. But for the most part, furniture and rugs, lots of those things we ended up getting rid of.
So it sounds easy, hey, we're going to downsize, sell the house, but it's a lot of steps, and it was challenging for us, and we kind of had to mark off what we were doing and the steps we were taking day by day, week by week, but we just kept chipping away and following the path. For me, the most challenging part was I'm a small business owner, specifically a gym that I love and a community I like to be around. So it was extremely hard to think about taking a step away from that. I'm going to be as involved as I can from afar, but it's a job and a situation that I absolutely love. So that was another big setup step for me. What systems and processes do I need to get in place at work to make sure it still functions when I'm not there, and to make sure it survives for when we get back, because it is something that is near and dear to my heart and that I absolutely love. My wife's situation a little bit easier.
I'm a nurse. I worked most recently in labor and delivery at a local hospital. I work weekends because I have the kids during the week, and yeah, I just put in my 2 weeks and I'm out of there. So we had about 4 weeks to have me not working weekends, which meant that's time for van projects, time to really get the nitty gritty of what we need to get done to get on the road. So.
And that brings up another good point. You have your steps of, selling your house, renting your house, getting rid of stuff. Like those are all big moving pieces. And then you have this, van where we're going to live in. So I was constantly doing upgrades on the van. We are all over different YouTube channels, the Googles. What do we need to get set up to feel like we're ready? And we're not going to somewhere where nothing's available, but for us, we want the van to be as functional as possible for our family. So that was kind of a step that was happening throughout this whole process. So number one was we made the plan for about when we wanted to leave. Number two was we started to think about, do we rent, do we sell? Number three was figure out what storage we need. And then throughout all those steps was, and make sure we're taking care of the van, make sure we're upgrading, updating, fixing, and getting everything as set up as possible.
Exactly, yeah.
And then the next step that my wife's been taking most of is the trip, the route, and then we'll get into the kids. But specifically, where are you going to go? That's a question we get asked a lot. Where are we first starting?
Yeah, so we'll have a video on this a little bit more detail, but I kind of used a couple principles to think of. One, really important, we need to follow the weather. So whereas least buggy, doesn't have extreme temperatures, so we're going to be sticking out west. So I kind of pulled up my map, and I do this whenever I have free time, when the kids are napping, and between being on Instagram or social, whatever, and trying to follow other families and see where they are and just kind of pin where my wish list is for us to be going. So I've been making really a list over the last 6 to 12 months, and I've been trying to piece those together now in a route that would make the most sense for us.
Shout out to any of your favorite families you've been following?
Shout out to Never Say Someday family, a mom and dad and 2 boys. I've taken a lot from their itineraries, so thank you for that. So the other thing that I've been kind of trying to handle a lot of is what we're doing with the kids, specifically schooling, and then just making sure that they have what they need in their packing list. So I've been thinking about all the layers and the clothing, the best wardrobe for them, the best equipment for them to keep them entertained and educated. So I have gone through lots of different road schooling resources that I could find, had a list of maybe a dozen different curriculums, and actually, to be honest, I was on the fence. Are we going to do a curriculum or are we not? We're just going to let nature lead us. And I think I found a middle ground. I'm not doing a really strong curriculum that's got all the subjects, but I also have something that's not just 100% obscure. There is some structure to it. So I ended up picking a curriculum called Your Natural Learner. To me, it was the easiest for us to follow in the van. So we don't need a lot of equipment. There's not a lot of projects that need a lot of, kitchen equipment. A lot of these curriculums had either a lot of worksheets or dittos or a lot of household items that you would need to complete different activities. And that's just not feasible for us on the road. So I was able to find this curriculum. I purchased it. I actually did a PDF and got it all bound through our local UPS store. And we're going to hopefully see how that goes. Our daughter, she will be 7 and she's going to be going into the 1st grade. Our son, he will be turning 4 in just 2 weeks. And he is still younger, so he'll just kind of follow along and just learn with nature and out there on the trail.
Let nature lead us. That could have been our
handle.
Our handle.
Yeah.
That could be our t-shirt. Let nature lead you.
Nature's the ultimate classroom.
So to wrap things up, this is a kind of our final prep here. We got about 2 weeks till we make this happen. I'm sure there will be mistakes, things we forgot about, and we'll update everybody on the road as to where we are, what worked and what didn't.
Yep. Can't wait.